The crash of waves against Farouk Beach echoed across the Algerian coastline that November morning in 1942. American boots splashed through Mediterranean surf. Salt spray mixed with diesel fumes from landing craft. Soldiers struggled under heavy packs toward the sandy shore. Hidden among their equipment lay a secret that would reshape warfare forever. Steel tubes marked with classified stamps waited in waterproof crates. Most troops had never seen these weapons before. Few understood what they carried would soon terrorize German tank crews across Europe. Those 5,000 rocket launchers would earn a nickname within months: Bazookas. The name would become legendary. More importantly, these simple tubes costing $25 each would force Germany to completely rethink armored warfare. 18 months later, German engineers would desperately attempt to copy American innovation. The mathematics of tank combat were about to change forever. What happened 6 months earlier at Aberdeen Proving Ground had set everything in motion. May 6, 1942, dawned clear and warm in Maryland. Colonel Leslie Skinner arrived early for the weapons demonstration. Lieutenant Edward Ohl joined him shortly after sunrise. Their mission seemed routine: test various anti-tank weapons, evaluate effectiveness against moving targets, submit recommendations to Army Ordnance. Nobody expected the day would produce a revolutionary weapon. The launcher they brought existed only in their imagination that morning. Steel tubing lay scattered in Aberdeen's scrap pile. Discarded materials waited for new purposes. A coat hanger would become precision sighting equipment. Pliers served as manufacturing tools. British spigot mortars dominated the scheduled demonstrations. These complex weapons weighed over 100 pounds each. Trained crews struggled with intricate sighting systems. Multiple operators were required for effective employment. Army brass expected impressive results from British engineering. General Gladwin Barnes commanded attention that day. As Chief of Research and Engineering, his approval meant everything. Other high-ranking officers filled the observation area. Everyone focused on the heavy British equipment. Nobody paid attention to Ohl's simple tube. 5 separate spigot mortars prepared for the demonstration. Their target sat 150 yards downrange. An M3 Stuart tank moved slowly across the firing range. Crews adjusted complex mechanisms. Sighting procedures took precious minutes. The first mortar fired. Its projectile sailed wide of the moving target. Operators frantically adjusted settings. The second attempt missed completely. Heavy weapons proved difficult to traverse quickly enough. Complex sighting systems confused the crews. 3 more attempts followed. Not one projectile found its mark. The British weapons that looked so impressive on paper failed miserably in practical testing. Frustrated operators blamed equipment problems. Officers muttered about inadequate training time. Then Ohl stepped forward with his improvised launcher. He had welded the steel tube that morning. Wire coat hangers bent with pliers served as sights. The assembly looked crude compared to sophisticated British equipment. Most observers expected another failure. Ohl surprised everyone present. He shouldered the simple tube. Those makeshift sights aligned perfectly with the moving tank. His trigger finger squeezed gently. The rocket whooshed from the launcher and slammed directly into the Stuart's side armor. Silence filled the proving ground. Observers stared in disbelief. Ohl calmly reloaded in 5 seconds. His second shot struck the target again. 2 hits in less than 10 seconds from a weapon assembled that morning. General Barnes examined the crude launcher closely. Its appearance reminded him of radio comedian Bob Burns' musical instrument. "It looks like Bob Burns's bazooka," he reportedly declared. The nickname stuck immediately. Minutes later, Barnes issued production orders. 5,000 units for immediate manufacture. General Electric would begin production within weeks. The weapon that would help win the war had been born from scrap metal and ingenuity. Factory production began with unprecedented speed. October 1942 saw General Electric and other contractors producing 5,000 bazookas monthly. 5 months from prototype to mass production represented a manufacturing miracle. Each M1 rocket launcher required only basic materials and simple assembly techniques. 20 pounds of steel formed the main tube. Basic welding joined the components. Simple electrical parts cost $25 total. M6 rockets added $8 each to the system price. The complete package remained remarkably affordable compared to traditional anti-tank weapons. Engineering specifications stayed deliberately simple. Seamless steel tubing measured 54 inches long and 2.36 inches in diameter. Total weight reached just 13 pounds when loaded. 2 dry cell batteries in the shoulder stock provided electrical ignition for the rockets. Armor penetration reached 3 to 4 inches at 300 yards. This performance exceeded most existing infantry anti-tank weapons. More importantly, the system could be operated by any soldier with minimal training. Captain Franklin Johnson at Fort Benning documented the training advantages. One afternoon sufficed for basic bazooka proficiency. The same soldier needed weeks to master traditional 37mm anti-tank guns. 2 men with a bazooka could accompany infantry anywhere. Mobility advantages were immediately obvious to tactical commanders. Operation Torch launched on November 8, 1942. Allied invasion forces numbered 107,000 American and British troops. Units of the 1st Infantry Division, 1st Armored Division, and 509th Parachute Infantry Regiment carried the first combat bazookas. Their battlefield debut nearly ended in disaster. General Eisenhower made a disturbing discovery the night before invasion. Troops had received 0 training on their new weapons. Sealed crates marked "Secret" remained unopened until the operation began. No instruction manuals accompanied the mysterious equipment. Soldiers would learn bazooka operation under enemy fire. The 1st Infantry Division's after-action report documented the chaos. Men frantically examined unfamiliar weapons while bullets flew overhead. Many early M6 rockets had suffered moisture damage during the sea voyage. Premature detonations and misfires plagued initial combat employment. The 509th Parachute Infantry Regiment faced similar problems. Of their first 20 rockets fired in combat, only 7 functioned properly. Faulty electrical connections caused repeated failures. Moisture had corrupted rocket propellant during shipping. Combat effectiveness remained questionable. Despite these setbacks, some units achieved notable success. The 1st Armored Division's combat log recorded their first victory near Port Lyautey on November 10, 1942. 2 Vichy French Renault tanks fell to the new rocket weapon. When functioning properly, effectiveness was undeniable. German capture of American bazookas occurred during the Kasserine Pass disaster in February 1943. Afrika Korps' 10th and 21st Panzer Divisions overran American positions at Sidi Bouzid. Retreating U.S. 2nd Corps abandoned substantial quantities of equipment, including 5 intact M1 bazookas and approximately 20 M6 rockets. These weapons reached Berlin immediately for technical analysis. The Wehrmacht weapons testing facility at Kummersdorf received the captured equipment on February 28, 1943. German engineers dissected every component of the American rocket launcher. Their assessment proved both complimentary and concerning. Technical reports from March 1943 revealed German conclusions. The American rocket launcher represented elegant simplicity in anti-tank weapon design. Weight of 6 kilograms made it highly portable. Production requirements remained minimal compared to German anti-tank weapons. Effectiveness against 80mm armor at 100 meters impressed German testers. Mass production capability using basic industrial facilities worried German planners. They immediately began developing their own version with increased warhead diameter. German engineers enlarged the warhead from 60 mm to 80 mm for greater armor penetration. By September 1943, the Raketenpanzerbüchse 43 Panzerschreck entered production. German manufacturing records show they produced 218,151 Panzerschrecks during the war. This represented impressive industrial output, but still fell short of American production capacity. The Americans maintained a significant numerical advantage throughout the conflict. Operation Husky began July 10, 1943, marking the bazooka's maturation as a combat weapon. Sicily's invasion featured the improved M1A1 model with enhanced electrical contacts. The more reliable M6A1 rocket reduced misfire rates significantly. American forces finally possessed a dependable infantry anti-tank weapon. The most remarkable bazooka success in Sicily occurred near Biscari in July 1943. An M1A1 team from the 82nd Airborne Division achieved an extraordinary hit on a Tiger I tank. Their rocket penetrated through the driver's vision slot, one of the vehicle's few vulnerable points. While exceptional marksmanship rather than typical performance, it demonstrated the weapon's deadly potential. The Hermann Göring Panzer Division's War Diary noted the psychological impact on July 11, 1943. Enemy infantry equipped with rocket weapons capable of destroying armor at 100 to 150 meters. Tank commanders must exercise increased caution in urban areas. German confidence in armored superiority was beginning to crack. Colonel James Gavin, commanding the 505th Parachute Infantry Regiment, reported significant morale improvements. The bazooka has given the American infantrymen confidence against enemy armor. In Sicily, we destroyed 17 German tanks with bazookas. The psychological effect exceeds even the physical destruction. Tank panic was being replaced by aggressive tank hunting. During the Italian campaign beginning September 1943, the bazooka evolved beyond its original anti-tank role. Mountainous terrain and medieval towns provided ideal conditions for rocket launcher employment. The weapon's versatility became apparent as soldiers discovered new tactical applications. The December 1943 battle for Ortona demonstrated innovative bazooka tactics. Canadian forces developed mouse-holing techniques, blowing passages through buildings rather than using dangerous streets. The 1st Canadian Infantry Division's War Diary recorded American rocket launchers proved invaluable in street fighting when used against fortified houses with good effect. By January 1944, American production reached 20,000 bazookas monthly. The new M9 model featured a breakdown design perfect for airborne troops. Magneto-ignition eliminated unreliable batteries that had caused problems in cold weather. The improved M6A3 rocket, with its blunt nose, prevented deflection on angled armor surfaces. Fifth Army reports from Italy documented widespread bazooka distribution. Every infantry battalion now possessed 24 to 36 rocket launchers. The weapon had achieved the status of standard equipment, as common as machine guns or mortars. American infantry had been transformed from tank victims to tank hunters. German armored doctrine underwent fundamental changes in response to bazooka proliferation. Wehrmacht Training Directive 43-18, issued in December 1943, mandated new operational procedures. Tanks would not operate in urban areas without infantry support. All buildings must be cleared before armor advances. Minimum 100-meter distance from uncleared structures became mandatory. German tank crews began desperate protection measures. Welded extra track links provided additional armor. Sandbags offered protection against shaped charges. Concrete added weight, but increased survival chances. Shirts and side skirts became standard equipment on all vehicles. Zimmerit anti-magnetic paste, applied from December 1943 to October 1944, was partially a response to shaped charge threats. A captured document from the 2nd SS Panzer Division, dated March 1944, revealed the psychological impact. American rocket launchers present in every infantry unit. Speed and shock tactics no longer viable. Methodical advance with infantry screening required. D-Day, June 6, 1944, marked the Bazookas' integration into American infantry organization. Among the 156,000 Allied troops landing in Normandy were thousands of bazooka teams equipped with the latest M9A1 model featuring optical sights. Normandy's bocage country, with its dense hedgerows, created natural defensive positions ideal for bazooka employment. First Army records show that in 6 weeks following D-Day, bazookas accounted for 12% of German armored vehicle losses in the American sector. The 29th Infantry Division's after-action report noted bazooka teams operating in hedgerow country achieved high success rates against enemy armor. German tanks increasingly reluctant to advance without extensive infantry reconnaissance. Industrial reality revealed itself through production comparisons between German and American anti-tank weapons. The Panzerschreck proved technically superior, with its 88mm warhead capable of 160mm armor penetration versus the bazooka's 100mm. However, manufacturing complexity created serious disadvantages. Panzerschreck production required 24 pounds of steel and 18 man-hours to produce at a cost of 150 Reichsmarks. Bazooka M9 production needed only 15 pounds of steel and 2.4 man-hours at a cost of $25. By August 1944, America had produced over 400,000 bazookas, while Germany managed 289,151 Panzerschrecks during the entire war. The Americans were outproducing German copies by nearly 2 to 1, while simultaneously producing simpler, more portable weapons. German emphasis on technical superiority over quantity limited production capacity and field maintenance capability. American industrial philosophy emphasized good enough technology that could be mass-produced and widely distributed. The German Ardennes offensive in December 1944 provided severe testing of bazooka performance under winter conditions. The 99th Infantry Division's combat interviews conducted immediately after battle documented numerous bazooka engagements despite challenging weather conditions. Technical Sergeant Donald Bracken, 394th Infantry Regiment, reported destroying a Panther tank near Rocherath on December 17, 1944. The rocket hit the rear engine deck. The tank caught fire, and the crew abandoned it. Range was about 75 yards. Extreme cold created documented problems, with remaining M1A1 models still in service. Battery failures required soldiers to warm batteries inside their jackets. The 2nd Infantry Division reported that rocket propellant burned differently in sub-zero temperatures, affecting range and accuracy. Despite these challenges, 78 Airborne Corps records show bazookas destroyed or disabled 89 German armored vehicles during the Battle of the Bulge. One of the most remarkable bazooka employments came from Major Charles Carpenter of the 4th Armored Division. His innovation demonstrated the weapon's versatility beyond conventional infantry use. Carpenter mounted 6 M9 bazookas on his L-4 Grasshopper observation aircraft for aerial tank hunting missions. His combat record, verified by 4th Armored Division records, proved impressive. September 20, 1944. 2 Panther tanks destroyed near Aracourt. October 1944, 1 Panzer IV destroyed. November 1944, 3 armored vehicles destroyed. Carpenter's aircraft, complete with mounting brackets, was discovered in an Austrian museum in 2017 and has been restored. Final production statistics revealed the magnitude of American bazooka manufacturing. M1 models totaled 112,790 units. M1A1 production reached approximately 60,000 units. M9 models numbered 268,977 units. M9A1 production totaled approximately 257,800 units. M18 aluminum models reached 500 units before war's end. Total launcher production was 476,628 units. Rocket production statistics proved even more impressive. 1942 production reached 225,000 rockets. 1943 saw 2,847,000 rockets manufactured. 1944 production peaked at 8,566,000 rockets. 1945 production totaled 4,265,000 rockets before war's end. Total rocket production exceeded 15,633,000 rounds. Unit costs in 1945 dollars showed remarkable economy. M1 and M9 bazookas cost $19 to $25 each. M6A3 rockets cost $8.85 each. A complete system including launcher plus 10 rockets cost approximately $110. For comparison, German production records showed Panzer IV tanks cost 103,100 Reichsmarks, or approximately $41,000. Panther tanks cost 117,000 Reichsmarks, or approximately $47,000. Tiger Eye tanks reached 250,000 Reichsmarks, or approximately $100,000. U.S. Army Ordnance conducted extensive effectiveness analysis in 1945. Average engagement range was 75 yards. Hit probability at 50 yards reached 85%. Hit probability at 100 yards dropped to 42%. Hit probability at 150 yards fell to 18%. Armor penetration reached 3.5 to 4 inches with M6A3 rockets. Tank destruction analysis from European theater revealed interesting statistics. Tanks destroyed by other tanks accounted for 38%. Tanks destroyed by anti-tank guns reached 31%. Aircraft destroyed 14% of tanks. Bazookas destroyed 12%. Mines accounted for 5%. These statistics likely understated bazooka effectiveness, since many German tanks were abandoned when threatened by rocket teams, rather than actually destroyed. Post-war interrogations of German officers revealed consistent themes about the bazooka's psychological impact. Field Marshal Albert Kesselring stated in his interrogation that American rocket launchers forced fundamental changes in German tactical doctrine. Speed and shock tactics that brought victory from 1940 to 1941 were negated by the threat of infantry anti-tank weapons. General Heinz Guderian acknowledged in his post-war writings that proliferation of infantry anti-tank weapons like the bazooka invalidated independent armor operations that had been central to German doctrine. The blitzkrieg concept died partly because every infantry squad possessed tank-killing capability. The bazooka threat influenced German tank development from 1943 onward. Addition of Schutzen side skirts to Panzer III and I-4 models started in April 1943. Application of Zimmerit paste began in September 1943. Increased side armor on Panther AOSFG models reflected bazooka concerns. Development of infantry support variants with enhanced anti-personnel armament responded to rocket team threats. These modifications added weight and complexity to German vehicles, reducing their mobility advantage, while American tanks remained relatively simple and reliable. German armor that had dominated early war battlefields through speed and shock became ponderous and defensive by 1944. Lend-Lease records document bazooka distribution to Allied forces worldwide. Soviet Union received 8,000 units. United Kingdom obtained 12,000 units. Free French forces acquired 15,000 units. Chinese nationalist forces received 3,000 units. Other Allied nations obtained 23,728 units total. Soviet military archives indicate the Red Army found the bazooka effective, but preferred their own anti-tank rifles, and later the RPG-2 developed partially from bazooka principles. The weapon's influence on post-war Soviet anti-tank development remained significant despite limited wartime employment. Pacific theater employment proved bazookas valuable against Japanese armor and fortifications. Marine Corps records from Saipan, June to July 1944 show bazookas destroyed 28 Japanese tanks and countless fortified positions. The weapon's versatility was demonstrated through various rocket types available by 1944. M6A3 Standard Anti-Tank. Heat warheads provided primary capability. M10 White Phosphorus Incendiary and smoke rounds offered specialized applications. M7A3 practice rounds enabled realistic training without live explosives. Marine units particularly valued white phosphorus rockets for clearing cave complexes and destroying Japanese bunkers. At Iwo Jima, the 5th Marine Division expended 1,047 bazooka rockets in 6 weeks of fighting. The weapon proved invaluable for bunker busting and cave clearing operations that characterized Pacific fighting. Japanese fortifications that resisted conventional weapons succumbed to direct rocket hits. The bazooka's continued relevance was proven in Korea, when initial M9A1 bazookas proved inadequate against T-34-85 tanks due to degraded World War II ammunition. However, rapid development and deployment of the M20 Super Bazooka with its 3.5-inch rocket demonstrated the weapon system's adaptability. Marine Sergeant Robert Bennett's combat report from Busan, September 1950, stated the new 3.5-inch bazookas stopped T-34s cold. First shot, first kill at 125 yards. The psychological shift was immediate. This rapid adaptation from problem identification to solution deployment in under 90 days demonstrated the flexibility of the simple bazooka design. The bazooka embodied American industrial philosophy during World War II. Manufacturing simplicity meant any factory with basic welding equipment could produce tubes. No special alloys or precision machining was required. Assembly time averaged 2.4 man-hours per unit. Training time for assembly workers needed only 2 days. Distribution efficiency reached remarkable levels by 1944. Every U.S. infantry company possessed 5 bazookas. Every infantry battalion maintained 25 to 35 bazookas. Ammunition remained readily available through standard supply chains without special handling requirements. This contrasted sharply with German production philosophy, emphasizing technical superiority over quantity. The Wehrmacht's focus on complex high-performance weapons, limited production capacity, and field maintenance capability. German engineering excellence could not overcome American industrial democracy. U.S. Army training records document the bazooka's revolutionary impact on infantry doctrine. Pre-bazooka 1941 infantry anti-tank training focused on anti-tank rifles, ineffective against medium tanks. Anti-tank grenades required suicidal close-range attacks. Molotov cocktails represented desperate measures with little chance of success. Post-bazooka 1943 to 1945 training transformed completely. Every infantry soldier trained in bazooka operation through a standardized 2-hour basic course. Tank hunting tactics became standard curriculum. Coordinated anti-tank defense replaced individual heroics. The psychological transformation was documented in infantry school reports. The bazooka has given the infantry soldier confidence against armor. Previous tank panic has been replaced by aggressive tank hunting mentality. Combat units developed innovative bazooka tactics, documented in numerous after-action reports throughout the war. Urban combat techniques developed by the 3rd Infantry Division in Italy included 2-man teams operating from upper floors, targeting tank vision blocks and turret rings. Mouse-holing through buildings avoided dangerous street fighting. Multiple firing positions confused enemy response. Bocage fighting tactics from the 29th Infantry Division in Normandy emphasized concealed positions in hedgerows. Teams targeted side and rear armor where protection was weakest. Coordinated multi-team ambushes overwhelmed individual tanks. Quick displacement prevented counterfire. Winter warfare techniques from the 99th Infantry Division in the Ardennes included warming rockets inside clothing before firing. Snow camouflage enabled close approach to targets. Targeting engine compartments created fire kills that forced crew evacuation. Cost-effectiveness analysis from Army Ordnance revealed the bazooka's economic advantages. To destroy one German tank using American tanks averaged 2.5 Shermans lost per German tank destroyed, approximately $187,500 in tank losses. Using anti-tank guns, including gun and crew training, cost approximately $45,000. Using aircraft, including aircraft losses and munitions, cost approximately $85,000. Using bazookas averaged 5 rockets and occasional launcher loss for approximately $50 total cost. This represented a 1,000 to 1 cost advantage that made the bazooka economically revolutionary. For the price of one Sherman tank at $75,000, the Army could purchase 3,000 bazookas and 20,000 rockets. The bazooka principle of simple man-portable anti-tank weapons became universal in military doctrine. Direct descendants include the M72 LIBTD light anti-tank weapon, AT-4 anti-tank weapon, Carl Gustav recoilless rifle, and Soviet RPG series. Over 40 nations produced bazooka variants or copies during the post-war period. The fundamental concept of giving infantry portable anti-tank capability remains central to military organization worldwide. Modern armies consider man-portable anti-tank weapons as essential as rifles or machine guns. The bazooka established this doctrinal foundation that continues today. The German Tank Museum at Munster includes a permanent display on anti-tank weapons, featuring the American bazooka prominently. Their official placard states the American M1 rocket launcher bazooka revolutionized anti-tank warfare. Simple, cheap, and effective, it could be operated by any soldier with minimal training. German forces captured examples in Tunisia in 1943 and immediately recognized its potential, developing the Panzerschreck in response. By war's end, the presence of bazookas in every American unit had neutralized German armored superiority. This assessment from former enemies validates the weapon's historical significance. Continuous improvement characterized bazooka development based on combat feedback throughout the war. The M1, introduced in June 1942, represented the original version with battery ignition. Production totaled 112,790 units before improvements were implemented. The M1A1 appeared in June 1943 with reinforced tube construction and improved electrical contacts. Approximately 60,000 units were produced before the next major upgrade. Combat experience drove rapid design evolution throughout the development process. The M9, introduced in October 1943, featured revolutionary two-piece design enabling easier transport. Magneto-ignition eliminated unreliable batteries that had caused cold weather problems. Production reached 268,877 units, making it the most numerous early model. The M9A1 appeared in June 1944 with optical sights and improved coupling mechanisms. This represented the mature bazooka design incorporating all combat lessons learned. Approximately 277,800 units were produced, making it the most common model. The M18, introduced in April 1945, used aluminum construction to reduce weight for airborne operations. Only 500 units were produced before war's end. This model demonstrated continued innovation even in the conflict's final months. Rocket development paralleled launcher improvements throughout the war. The original M6 featured a pointed nose that sometimes deflected off angled armor. Penetration reached 3 inches against vertical surfaces. Early production suffered quality control problems that caused misfires. The improved M6A3 featured a blunt nose that prevented deflection on angled armor surfaces. Penetration increased to 4 inches against vertical armor. Improved manufacturing eliminated most reliability problems. This became the standard wartime rocket. The M10 white phosphorus warhead provided incendiary and smoke effects for specialized missions. The M7A3 practice round enabled realistic training without live explosives. Warhead variety increased the weapon system's tactical flexibility beyond simple anti-tank missions. The U.S. Army Military History Institute's comprehensive 1962 study concluded no single weapon changed battlefield dynamics more than the rocket launcher M1 M9 Bazooka. It democratized anti-tank warfare, giving every infantry unit the capability to defeat armor. German development of their own rocket weapons in response validated the concept. In terms of cost-effectiveness, tactical impact, and strategic significance, the bazooka ranks among the most important weapons of World War II. This assessment from professional military historians confirms the weapon's revolutionary impact on warfare. Analysis of German operational records reveals the bazooka's strategic effects on Wehrmacht tactics. Pre-bazooka period, from 1940 to 1942, saw German armor operating independently with complete confidence. Infantry fled from approaching tanks routinely. Breakthrough and exploitation tactics succeeded consistently. Post-bazooka period from 1943-1945 required armor to operate with constant infantry support. Every building and hedgerow became a potential ambush site. Breakthrough operations became costly and slow. This operational shift, documented in Wehrmacht war diaries, fundamentally altered European battlefield dynamics. Peak bazooka production in March 1945 reached 42,000 launchers and 540,000 rockets monthly. This represented the high point of American industrial capability applied to weapons manufacturing. The production network included 237 subcontractors across 34 states, creating a distributed manufacturing system. This distributed production model made the supply chain remarkably resilient. No single bombing raid or sabotage could significantly impact bazooka availability, unlike German production concentrated in vulnerable facilities. American industrial democracy proved superior to German centralized manufacturing. Training records demonstrate the bazooka's accessibility to average soldiers. Basic proficiency was achieved in 2 hours of instruction. Combat proficiency typically required 5 practice rounds. No special physical requirements existed, unlike heavy anti-tank rifles. Effective use by soldiers of all backgrounds and abilities was possible. This democratization of anti-tank capability meant any infantry squad could engage armor effectively. Tank hunting became a squad-level skill rather than specialist capability. Battlefield dynamics changed fundamentally when every infantry unit possessed tank-killing weapons. Contemporary anti-tank weapons comparisons revealed the bazooka's significant advantages over alternatives. The British Piat weighed 32 pounds versus the bazooka's 15 pounds. Range limited to 100 yards versus the bazooka's 300 yards. Reliability suffered in wet conditions. Complex spring mechanisms required physical strength to cock properly. The Soviet PTRD anti-tank rifle weighed 38 pounds with limited effectiveness against medium tanks. Severe recoil required sturdy soldiers capable of absorbing punishment. Single-shot operation demanded precise marksmanship. Portability remained questionable for average infantry units. The German Panzerfaust represented a single-use disposable weapon with very short range of 30 to 60 meters. No sighting system existed for accurate shooting. Dangerous backblast areas restricted employment options. These limitations made it unsuitable for many tactical situations. The bazooka offered the optimal combination of portability, effectiveness, range, and reusability. This balance of characteristics made it the most practical infantry anti-tank weapon available during World War II. No other weapon matched its combination of advantages. Strategic impact extended far beyond tactical battlefield employment. Force structure enabled lighter, more mobile infantry divisions. Logistics simplified ammunition supply compared to traditional anti-tank guns. Training enabled rapid conversion of civilians to effective tank hunters. Psychology transformed infantry from potential victims to active hunters. Economics provided massive cost advantages over traditional anti-tank weapons. These factors combined to give American forces significant advantages in combined arms operations throughout the European and Pacific theaters. The bazooka succeeded through elegant simplicity rather than technical sophistication. While Germany developed technically superior weapons, America's ability to mass-produce and widely distribute good enough technology proved strategically decisive. By war's end, virtually every American infantry squad possessed effective anti-tank capability. This proliferation of firepower to the lowest tactical level exemplified American military doctrine. Democratic principles trusted citizen soldiers with powerful weapons and training to use them effectively. German emphasis on technical superiority and specialist employment could not overcome American industrial and tactical democracy. The Germans entered World War II with the world's most powerful armored forces. Their tanks had dominated battlefields from Poland to France through superior tactics and technology. They were ultimately defeated, partly by American teenagers carrying steel tubes that cost less than bicycles. The bazooka proved that in modern industrial warfare, the ability to mass-produce and distribute simple, effective weapons could overcome technical superiority. Innovation didn't require complexity. Sometimes the best solution was the simplest one that could be manufactured by thousands and distributed to millions. The bazooka's development from Edward Uhl's improvised tube with coat-hanger sights to a weapon that helped defeat Nazi Germany represents American industrial democracy at its finest. In just 3 years, from May 1942 to May 1945, American factories produced 476 1928 bazookas and over 15 million rockets. This achievement fundamentally altered the nature of ground combat forever. The weapon's impact was both physical and psychological. Physically, it gave infantry the power to destroy tanks at practical combat ranges. Psychologically, it transformed soldiers from potential victims into aggressive hunters. German armored forces that had revolutionized warfare with blitzkrieg tactics found themselves slowed to crawls by rocket teams hidden in every building, hedgerow, and pile of rubble. The hunters had become the hunted through American industrial ingenuity. The bazooka succeeded not through technical sophistication, but through practical simplicity. It could be manufactured quickly, distributed widely, and operated effectively by any soldier with minimal training. This combination embodied the American approach to warfare through industrial might rather than tactical brilliance alone. Today, every military in the world equips its infantry with portable anti-tank weapons that are direct descendants of the bazooka principle. The fundamental concept of giving individual soldiers the power to defeat armored vehicles remains as relevant now as when Lieutenant Edward Uhl fired that first rocket at Aberdeen Proving Ground in 1942. The bazooka was more than a weapon. It was democracy made manifest in steel and explosives. It proved that free workers in American factories could produce simple weapons in quantities that would overwhelm products of German engineering excellence. It validated American faith in the citizen soldier by trusting ordinary men with extraordinary firepower. The Germans were shocked to discover their vaunted armored forces could be stopped by simple tubes costing less than factory workers' weekly wages. That shock revealed fundamental truth about modern warfare. In industrial conflicts, nations that produce the most weapons and distribute them most widely will prevail over nations that produce the best weapons in limited quantities. Mass production democracy defeats technical aristocracy. The bazooka proved that American ingenuity and mass production could triumph over complexity and craftsmanship. From Normandy's beaches to Italy's mountains, from France's hedgerows to the Ardennes forests, the bazooka gave American soldiers tools they needed to stand against German armor. That simple tube, born from scrap metal and coat-hanger wire, helped write the Third Reich's final chapter. One rocket at a time, American industrial democracy defeated Nazi technical superiority. The citizen soldier armed with simple effective weapons proved superior to the specialist warrior equipped with complex machinery. The mathematics of warfare had been permanently rewritten, not by massive guns or complex engineering, but by a steel tube any private could operate. Democracy had found its perfect weapon in the bazooka, simple enough for mass production, effective enough to stop tanks, portable enough for every squad. Victory belonged to the nation that could arm every soldier with tank-killing capability, rather than the nation that built the best tanks. The bazooka embodied this democratic principle and helped secure Allied victory through industrial rather than technical superiority.